Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode, I think episode number 4 of expanding the CakePHP 40-minute tutorial. So in the previous episodes, we looked at user authentication, confirming what the email address is and activating the account. And then in the previous episode, just uploaded before this one, we made sure that the user had actually confirmed their email address, i.e. activating their account before they can log in. And today what we're going to do is implement RBAC, which is role-based access control. And I will look at this more in depth in later episodes or different playlists as we build a proper website from this framework. But for today, I just want to talk about the easy implementation of role-based access control. And the purpose of it is pretty much this. So just to confirm that we still can't log in if we're not activated, CakePHP, your account is not active. Please check your emails for the activation link or request a new one. In reality, we do need to put a link in there, and that's down to yourselves if you want to add that, but you can add a link in that and then you can then go to it. But going back to today's episode, when we're logged in, we can view everyone's posts like a visitor can. We can see the users, we can view a user and view any user. But what we can't do is edit them. And the reason is our identity is not authorized to perform edit. And what you really want is something like an admin to deactivate an account or delete an account or to remove tags. Now, in practice, you can delete the tags, I believe, unless we put the authentication or the authorization system into that. But this kind of hooks into the same authorization policies that are controlling whether or not we can edit, or if not, we can delete, right? So at the moment, we can only edit our own articles, and as an admin, you don't particularly want that. If somebody has published an article that is controversial or demeaning, or goes against your blogging website's community guidelines, you want to take it offline or edit it, or so this is where admins or moderators can kind of have the authority or the permission sets, while standard users or contributors can only edit or delete their own work. We can even have it that only an admin can delete the work. It's completely and utterly down to you. So let's look at some code. So what I'm going to do first of all is look at the articles policy and just refresh us, because this is what comes out of the 40-minute tutorial. And as you can see, anybody can add, okay, providing they're logged in. And what that means is that if you try and click add without logging in, you'll be redirected to log in. So the failsafe is already there, so we can return that as true. However, when it comes down to the edit function, if the user that's logged in is the author of the article, so the user ID is in the article ID, then they can edit it. And likewise with the delete function. And then of course we can view it because we can return that as true, because again, anybody and everybody should be able to view the articles if it is published. And we'll talk more about that as we go through RBAC. Now, the way we check to actually see if the logged in user is the author is we return when we return the user ID, if it equals to the identifier, i.e. the logged in user, because we're using the the authentication identity interface. If both IDs match, then you can edit or you can delete. So what we're going to be doing is kind of adding another function to this. Say protected function is admin, and then we're going to, using the identity interface, seeing if a checkbox within the database is admin, and then we can add an or statement to this, or are you an admin? And if the answer is yes, you can edit, and yes, you can delete. Nice and easy, right? However, let's go back to our database. You can see we don't have an ISADMIN. So we need to create a migration file that is going to add an ISADMIN. And then we'll be able to add a switch in the profile for now. And I say for now because obviously we want only admins to do this, and this is, you know, when we go on into creating a portal or whatever, then we can do this. But for now, we're just going to keep it plain and simple. If you want to raise your hand and ask a question of how do we create other roles within the application, I will do that in another episode if it's required. So if you want me to go into that, which is using a roles database or entity in a sense, so you can have like moderators, or you can customize what the admins are called and all of that. So you can have group moderator, and yada 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 yada. The list goes on. I will go into it, but for now, it is nice and easy just to kind of get things going, just to add a field into the user's database table saying is admin. Okay, so let's get to the code. Okay, so the last migration we did was add activation token to our users, and as you can see, we've got the isActive activation token expiry, and we're going to do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is create a migration file. So we're going to use bin cake. Let's see if I can zoom in. No, I can't. I think I've found this out before. Bin cake bake migration, and we're going to call this add is active to users. Okay. Boom. The file has now been created, and if we do a bin cake migration status, there we go. You can see that the add is active to users is currently down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to explode this a little bit. Oh, Christ. And if anybody has actually noticed this, I put is active is admin. You've probably been screaming at me for this. So what we're going to do is rename this file to is admin. Save it. Is admin to users. Right. Okay. It's down. Right. There we go. That was a very close call. A very, very, very close call. And we're going to, I did it. We're going to add a column, and it is admin, is underscore admin, and it's going to be a bool. We're not going to allow nulls because it is either true or false. And when we create a user account, it is going to be false. Okay. So that's how we get around that. Okay. What we can do as well is we can do before and then we can put in is active. Okay. I'm just going to check the no, it doesn't have that, so it is active. So we do that. I'm just going to go back into the table and just confirm yes, it is active. And then I might change it, so it's going to sit just after modified. Okay. So we should have I don't know what I've done. Hang on. We should see it somewhere just before the is active. I apologize, I didn't flick the screen over properly. There we go. So what I will do is do that. Right, save. Now what we're going to do is we're going to migrate. Before is not a valid column option. Okay, it didn't like the before, which is kind of strange. So we're going to try after. If not, we'll just give up. Modified. There we go. And then try and run it again. There we go. So if we just quickly look at our database, so I'm just going to refresh. There we go. We've got ISADMIN after modified, so you can't use before in CakePHP, which is fine. And as it stands, everybody is not an admin, and we'll leave that there for now. Okay. So what I am going to do temporarily is allow the modification of this field within the database. So we're going to go down to our table and our user entity, and down here I'm just going to type in is admin and then set that to true. And this means that when we edit our profile to take the change this, you'll see it. Okay. So what we're going to now do is in our users view, in the edit, I'm going to just below here is echo this $, this form control, and it's going to be is admin, and we want type checkbox label is admin. Okay. And then on the do we need to do anything else? Nope, we don't need to do anything there. Then on the index page, I'm just going to after ID email created, just put in here table header is admin. Yeah, we'll do that. And then yeah, there we go. Right, so now we've got that saved. Let's just have a look at what happens when we click on our users index. We've got is admin new. Okay, so what this does is it should read back, and if we just check the variables, sorry, the SQL log, we can see users.isAdmin is users, so we know it's reading it, which is fine. I've just created a black screen. There we go. So what do we need to do now? Well, we need to be able to edit our users. So we do have the edit form. So what I'm going to do quickly is go back into our application, and I'm going to edit. So we're CakePHP, so I'm going to edit CakePHP user, and our form hasn't shown up with the edit, so something's gone a bit awry. So there's our edit. I didn't save it, that's why. So let's refresh the page, and there we go, is admin. So now when I submit, what should happen is we've got a yes. So this is good. This means that your logic works. So it's always good just to give it a quick test. And if we edit it again and we take the admin off, it should go back to no, and it does. And I'm just going to make sure that we can actually log back in, because I think it changed the password. No, it hadn't. That's good. So go back to users, and then we go to edit, and then we go to ISADMIN, submit, done. Right. So we are definitely an admin, which is good. So what do we need to do next? Well, next we need to tell the authorization system that an admin can change the policy, the entities, right? So we're going to start off with the articles. So what we're hoping is at the end of it, just to recap, that we can edit or delete this article. So let's get back to the code. So all we need to do now is in our policy, tell the policy that we, wherever policy is, that we can change it. So I'm going to use protected function. There we go, ISADMIN. Protected function, return user, and we want it to equal the user get identifier. There we go. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go to our edit, and I'm just going to take this off, and then we're going to pipe this admin user. Okay, it doesn't matter about the article. I'm just going to accept that as well. It doesn't matter about the article, and the reason being is that we are literally just asking whether or not, right, the user is an admin. So as you can see, the function here is only going to the identity interface, grabbing the user's information, but not the article information. That's important to understand. So if you are trying to copy this bit here and you run into issues, the reason is because the article interface doesn't matter. Okay, we're not looking at that. We're just looking at the user interface and going, are you an admin? And if you are an admin, you can edit the article bit this. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly save that and then go back to our application, and I'm going to refresh, and then I'm going to go and click on edit, and we're still not authorized. So something has gone a little bit awry. A bit strange. So let's log out. Let's log back in, and we're at edit, and we're still not authorized. Okay. So what I'm going to do is try and clear the cache. Would help if I could type. There we go. And just see now if we're still in the same boat. And I'm pretty much sure we will be. So something is not quite right. Okay, apparently I made a boo-boo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to return a Boolean, and we're going to return the user is admin. Ooh. And that should, he says do it. Okay, so I'm just going to refresh the page, and boom, we can do it. Yeah, here we go. So I apologize, you're probably screaming at the screen going, Steve, what the heck are you doing? Anyway, we can now do it, which is good. So what that means is that the delete will also do it, and I don't want to delete it for obvious reasons, right? Now as we know, we like to test things or over test things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit my user, and I'm going to take off the ISADMIN, and then we're going to refresh. And what we should find on the articles now is we can't edit CakePHP 1, okay? And we still can. So what's happening is that it's not caching the, there we go, we're not authorized to edit the article. So if I was to users edit ISADMIN submit, I thank you, and then edit, yep. Okay, well that makes sense because yep, does make sense. Identity is not authorization. Heck, articles, edit, you're not authorized. Yeah, so you've got to log back out and log back in, and that's it does make sense because what's happening is it's using the identity. So as it's loading in, it's not asking if the user is an admin, it's the identity. So it's what you're logged in as. So if you are removing somebody's rights, it might also be a good thing to actually log the user out and log them back in again. So yeah, otherwise the session data is just going to persist, and yeah, you're not really going to benefit from that. So if we just go back to editing now, you can see that we can edit it, and if we change our permissions, so if we go back to edit and then remove the admin, we can still edit the article until we log out. So if we log out and then log back in, and then go to edit, we're not authorized. And then if we go to our user and then we go to edit and then we go to yes, you are an admin, that's going to get annoying. And then go back to articles and then edit, we still can't. So you've got to log out and log back in again. So that is something that we'll need to address in a later episode. But for now, you can see from a role-based access point of view that we've got some kind of way that we can do it. And of course, you can then copy that code into the users as well. So you can now copy this, copy that, and then go to your user policy. And where you've got the same thing down here, you just do the exact same thing again, where you can delete a user if you are the user or you are an admin. And then what we'll do is we'll just save that, and then we will go back to our application. We will refresh, go to our users, and then what we should be able to do is edit Steve, and we can, okay? And we can unpromote Steve to an admin or not, and it will all work. So that is the first part of role-based access control. Obviously, there are more parts into that, which we'll delve into the next episode, where we look at a table policy as opposed to just the app policies, as it were. I can't think of the actual name, but there's two parts to this. So when we build a table policy, what we can do is we can use the admin and non-admin side to pull data from the database itself. So that's another layer of protection against things. So anyway, please look forward to that part 2. If you have found this video useful and helpful, please don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you all in the next episode. Thank you once again, guys, for watching. Stay safe out there, have fun, and enjoy cake.